Hello, and this is Vin Shumbury, president of WOWzer Technologies. And continuing on showing you the money, what I really want to talk about today is cash flow. Cash is the lifeblood or the milk to the baby as far as any business or any endeavor for that matter. You want to make sure that this is one area that you pay close attention to. Because as I've said in the past, what's in the bank account isn't necessarily what is actually going on. And you need to look at inflows and outflows. That's really, really important. How much is coming in and how fast is it going out? That's why it's called the cash flow statement, which is the statement that you should be looking at. But more than just looking at the statement, you need to consider some things, such as, do you have a situation where you're a seasonal business and therefore money comes in for a period of time, but then it doesn't for another period of time? Are you looking at that and making sure that you have enough to get you through what I call the dry season? Because if you don't, then you run the risk of having more debts than you do money coming in, and that could put you in harm's way. We don't want that to happen. So it's important to look at these things. And the other thing too about cash is, it's not just looking at your bank balance, but looking at certain numbers as well that tell you things as well on a continual basis. Sure, it's good to have a look at your bank balance on a day-to-day basis. What if you've got more than one, as some businesses do? How are they interacting? And is the information current so you can make informed decisions? Because if you don't have them current, then what kind of choices are you making? You know, if you're also invoicing on an ongoing basis, something you want to look at is, when do you invoice? Do you do it at the beginning of the month, middle of the month, or later in the month? I suggest you do it as close to the beginning of the month as possible. The sooner you get those invoices out, the sooner that you can have payment for it. Another thing that you may do, there's a lot of businesses who do this as well. They have what we call subscription type of payments. In other words, it's a set amount every single month. Can you switch to that in your business? Is that doable? Because if it is, and you set it up that way, you could be guaranteed on a regular basis to receive monies as opposed to having to wait to be paid. Because the reality is that if you're waiting to be paid, you're really a bank. You're loaning money out to your customers, and they pay you when they pay you. Well, did you get into the banking business? I don't think so. So it's important to collect as soon as you possibly can. So you have to look at strategies that help you to do that. And as I said, you know, if you're seasonal, you have to look at ways to spread it out over a period of time. And if you're not, can you switch over to being subscription-based? In other words, receiving money on a month-to-month basis. And there's many tools out there right now, technology that can help you do that. That's another thing you should be looking at. In today's fast-paced world, technology can be your best friend. In WOWzer, this is what we use. In order for us to be an automated paperless system, we too use technologies. Because if we don't, how do we achieve that? We'd have to have a lot of people. Whereas technology, what it does is it can create processes for you. What does that mean? That means that if you do something on a continual basis, can you imagine having technology do that for you? And it does it exactly like you do, but the difference is it doesn't forget. It does it on a continual basis unless you modify something. So I would say the technology is your best friend, and by all means, talk to us about your bookkeeping needs because that's what we do. We actually provide automated, paperless system for you. Something else that you can look at is, do you set cash goals? You say, what do you mean? Well, do you set a goal of how much cash you need to have at certain periods of time? Because if you don't do that, then how do you know where you are? Because as I said before, cash is king. It is important to know where you are cash-wise. And I found that when I set cash goals and when I follow my accounts receivable, if that's what I have, then what happens is that actually I have the cash to meet my needs. Something else you could look at is, are you putting off work till later, and then it becomes later and later and later? Because the later you put the work off, the longer it's going to be for you to be paid, which means your vendors who invoice you, they want to be paid as soon as possible. If you're delaying doing your work and therefore invoicing, that adds more strain to you, because what happens is you haven't done the work, which means you can't bill, and then you bill late, which means you get it later as well. The whole idea is to get the work done one step at a time. Don't try to be a multitasker. Do one item, finish it, bill it, if that's what you got to do, and then move on to the next one, and so on and so on and so on. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you get paid as well, right? So the idea about turning accounts receivable in your favor as opposed to accounts payable, the way to do that is to make sure that you do the work or you assign it to somebody else. And that's the other thing that you can also help with your cash flow. Don't try to do all the work yourself. Assign it to someone else. Do what you will do good, and then do best, and then assign that to one of your other subordinates. Let them do that, or somebody that you work alongside with. Let them do that. Because what happens is you only have 24 hours in a day. You can't do all things. And this is how you're able to hit your cash goals, because the more that you produce, the sooner you can bill, the sooner you can collect. So some other things that you should be looking at is also use common sense. I mean, everything I talked about right here is nothing else but common sense. The sooner things get done, the sooner you can bill, the sooner you collect. Common sense. Technology. Do you have humans doing the work, or can you look at different types of technologies that allow you to perform those tasks in a more efficient manner? At the end of the day, that's really what you're looking for, is to be able to provide a service or goods to your customers or clients, and they're happy with what they receive. They will gladly pay you, and therefore that kind of cash comes back to you, and you don't have to pay it back. Because one of the other things you also want to do is you want to manage debt as well. Because if you have been borrowing and you don't have the cash to pay, that puts a strain on you as well. So that's another reason to have cash goals, so you know how much money's coming in and how much you need to go out. And the sooner you bring it in, the better that is for you. So I go back to what I said in the beginning. Cash is king. It's like milk to the baby, and it's the lifeblood of your business. I hope this has helped you. And if you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help in any way that I possibly can. And for some of you who may not be as easily adaptable to technology, I suggest you learn, because in my experience, what I found is there's so much out there that you really could probably find something to help your needs. And the key thing is, I hear that time is money, but I will say this, that time is infinitely more valuable than money. And the reason being is, you make some money, you lose it, you can make that again. But today is only for today, and you can never, ever, ever go back. This is why it is important to see what you can do out there to facilitate this process and make the cash come in sooner than later. And that also is a function of time. Have a wonderful day and a great week. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.